let me run through a few names. Do you trust them? Are you benching them? Kenneth Walker, CJ Stroud, DK Metcalf, Jaden Reed, Zay Flowers, Brock Purdy. These are guys that, lately they've let you down. Now, Jaden Reed had a good week this week. Many people probably had him on their bench this week, but do you trust any Packers players? For me, I'm all in on Kenneth Walker this season. But, are you kidding me? 7.6 points this week. He scored at least 17 points in each of his first 5 games of this year and has scored less than 16 in each of his past 5. So this has been now a losing streak as far as point production for Kenneth Walker, even though Seattle won over the weekend. Charbonnet vultured the touchdown. So do you trust him? For me, I can't bench him. So do I trust him? No, but I can't bench him. So those are conflicting thoughts, but that's where I come out on that. So any of those players that you want to jump in on, Trip?
I definitely trust Kenneth Walker. I'm a little more worried about DK Metcalf because, like I said last week, I think that JSN has sort of ascended where they're kind of the 1A and 1B now. So Metcalf is a guy that I don't know that we can expect him to be sort of this alpha wide receiver 1 in fantasy with Jackson Smith-Njigba getting as much volume as he's getting. You asked about Zay Flowers on here. I continue to believe that I will not trust any Ravens pass catcher.
Agreed.
Now, you may be in a position where you've got to start one of these guys, but I think that the Ravens, they're having a little bit of a midseason kind of identity crisis here that is embodied by what has happened to Deontay Johnson, where they basically said, we don't even know how we're going to get this guy in the lineup, and he didn't have a single offensive snap this week. So he's dead and gone. We put him away many weeks ago. But what that indicates to me is that they don't quite know what their offense is outside of Derrick Henry running for 100+ yards, So Zay Flowers will have a few more blow up weeks, and maybe you throw him in there and say, this is the kind of guy who could win me a week. But also, I don't think you can have any confidence that he's going to score you double-digit points on any given week. And I think that's true of every pass catcher on the Ravens offense, So you feel good if you've got Lamar. He continues to look great. Derrick Henry's had a little bit of a down couple of weeks, but he's going to be fine. But yeah, I have no confidence in Zay Flowers.
But it's fair to wonder, will Henry wind down the regular season? And maybe they even pull back a little bit with him to then ramp him up for the playoffs, because they really got him for the playoffs, because the Ravens are a good regular season team. So there's a little bit of concern there, I think for Henry, because Henry has carried many fantasy teams. I'm not sure he'll carry you to a fantasy championship. I think it's fair to question. Now, obviously, you're not going to bench him, but as far as trust goes, yeah, there's something to be said about that. And then, as far as CJ Stroud goes, the downside is you've been waiting for him to really get that big game, that big performance, and it just hasn't happened. And so now they're on a bye this week. So that means you're going into the playoffs. If you did make the playoffs with CJ Stroud, you can't trust him. I don't think you could start him. So whoever you're playing either regularly or this week with CJ Stroud on the bye, that's probably the guy you got to roll with, which is crazy to think. But Houston, their offense, as good as Joe Mixon has been, and Nico Collins has been great, but Stroud not lighting it up. It's very interesting. It's a weird season for him. And you had to take it. You had to draft him pretty high.
Right. Yeah. Rest of the season, would you rather have Drake May or CJ Stroud? May's running a lot.
Yeah. Gosh.
Caleb Williams or CJ Stroud?
Man, yeah.
It's hard.
I don't think you're winning with any of those guys, but yeah,
Will Levis or CJ Stroud? Just kidding.
Bo Nix.
But Bo Nix at this point is a certified quarterback 1 in fantasy football. Yeah, you're starting him until further notice. I think you're probably starting Jameis Winston over CJ Stroud at this point. He's just
crazy.
The Texans are probably going to they're going to win games. They're probably going to, get into the playoffs, but Stroud looks like he's taken a step back, or probably what has actually happened is that the rest of the league has film on him now, has adjusted to him. The season hasn't gone perfectly according to plan. Kind of everything broke right for him last year, and that's not happening this year. So I still think he's a good quarterback. He's going to have a long and successful career in the NFL, but you can't feel good about starting him going into the playoffs.